What about Oregon? Overrated,
Uh,
underrated? What do you think?
I think they. At first, I thought they was overrated when you first asked me a question. But the more I think about it, I want to say underrated. I like I like Dylan Gabriel like I'm big on quarterbacks. When in this sport, you got a good quarterback, and I think he can be an elite college quarterback. I'm not sure about NFL wise, but college wise, I think he can be elite. And if you got that, you got a shot.
Yeah.
They're physical, like you said. They can get after the quarterback. They have a big time corner that can go in and lock up with most teams number one. Evan Stewart can be electric. I think I At first I thought Oregon was going to be overrated, but I think I'm talking myself into underrated.
I think that's smart. I think they're either underrated or properly rated.
Right.
Yeah. At the beginning of the preseason, I would have said overrated too. But their spring game and the depth they've had, I mean, I think they're better than Texas. And there's a shot that they could be the best team in the country. So with that, I agree. Underrated. What about Penn State? Another Big Ten team, a team that probably relates to Oregon or some of these new Pac 12 teams in the fact that Penn State under Franklin's traditionally been more skill position and speed centered rather than size and physical centered.
I think Penn State is overrated every year. Under, I love Abdul Carter. Outside of him, did anybody on that team I could just say I love as a player? Not really. I mean, the running backs are solid, but I just keep looking at James Franklin.
Yeah. James Franklin, what is he like 2-13 in top 10 games or something? It might even be 2-16. That might have been his record last year. And then like losing to Ohio State and Michigan this year and Ole Miss may have brought it down. It's just yeah. And I want to trust Franklin, and I say I want to because it's time for someone else to like compete with Michigan and Ohio State. And I actually think Penn State's underrated, but in the sense that they're rated too low. I'm not picking this team to win it all, and I'm not picking this team to win the Big Ten either. I think they can, but that's a big if, and that's basically saying everything else has to go right so that um the team is fail proof, so that Franklin can't like screw it up.
Right.
Yeah, I mean Abdul Carter, he's a beast, and he's going to defensive end, which I think is gonna fit him really well. And Andy Kotelnicki is the best offensive coordinator in the country. He helped Kansas's offense become elite, so I imagine he can do that with Penn State's. But there are questions. And I could see this Penn State team, even with an easy schedule, finding ways with some of the questions they have to lose against teams that have inferior talent to them, at least via recruiting rankings. This is a pretty big year for James Franklin, wouldn't you say?
Completely agree.
Do you think that he's in a similar situation today? Like, not by the Penn State. Actually, yeah. Like, Penn State fan base and administration. Do you think he's in a kind of similar situation today?
I think so, yeah. But I also think he's in more dire. Like I don't not 100% sure if Ohio State loses to Michigan, they will be fired. But I do believe if Franklin drops the ball against Ohio State, Michigan, I don't think Franklin coming back.
Yeah, they don't play Michigan this year. I mean, if
Um,
they like Wisconsin or like Washington or they play USC, I could see if they lose a few of those games, which I think is possible, even though I'm not predicting it. I could see there being like serious talk of like pressure, especially with the 12-team playoff. If he misses that playoff, I mean, that fan base will be irate, and they should be. They have no business missing the playoff now that it's been expanded.
I agree.
We talked about Texas earlier in the Texas versus Michigan matchup preview. Do you think that Texas overall is over or underrated, like outside of that Michigan game?
I believe they're overrated. Like I think they may have arguably the best left tackle in the sport, him or the kid from LSU. But like you said, the defense, the secondary was terrible last year, and it don't look better. How do you stop who? How can they stop somebody? I do like Ethan Burke, but outside of him, I don't love Texas. I think, especially when you're comparing them to the top of the sport, I think they're overrated.
I agree with you. I think they're I think they're one of the most overrated teams in the country, if not the most overrated team in the country. I think Ewers is inconsistent. They lose all of their skill position talent outside of him. And while they bring in transfers, I don't think they'll be as good at skill positions this year as last year. Their offensive line is good. They have great players, like you said, but they don't have that Oregon or Washington or Georgia or Michigan, like speaking from parts of last year or as last year as a whole. They don't have that type of O line. And they lose Sweat, they lose Murphy. Their secondary was bad, and that's kind, and it will probably be similar this year. And they go to the SEC, and playing
Right.
Michigan early, playing Georgia, playing an SEC schedule, and then playing A&M at the end of the year. I don't think that I don't know. Like Texas, high things should be expected of Texas. But to expect them to win it all or bust this year is ridiculous. And I think even expecting them to win the SEC in year one is ridiculous. Like to just
I,
compete in the SEC should at least be like a thumbs up.
I agree.
Okay. And last but certainly not least, I'm just gonna say that I think this team is underrated a lot. Utah. What do you think about them?
Completely underrated. I think Utah could be amongst the best five teams in the country.
Wow.
And they're in the Big 12. I don't see nobody beating them regular season.
Yeah, I agree with that. Um, they always find someone or some like a few teams to lose to randomly, but like from a purely paper perspective, I agree with you. I mean, on paper, I can't see them losing to like anyone, especially with Colorado not looking good in their spring game. Um, I don't think they play Kansas State. I forget their schedule, but their schedule's not hard. And it would take a team like Kansas or Colorado, like a team with good skill players, to beat a sound team like Utah. And I
Or
don't think.
maybe I'm sorry, Oklahoma State maybe.
Oh, that's a good point. I think they play Utah. Yeah, that's really good. If Ollie Gordon can have a big game against Utah, it would be hard for Utah to come back from a deficit like that. Yeah. So you think
But
they'll win the Big 12 and reach the college football playoff?
I think so. Also, I think they should get be they might get a bye. Might be in their first four teams.
Yeah, they would, unless somehow the group of 5 champion was ranked ahead of him, and I don't think that'll happen.
Me neither.
Yeah. I have them winning the Big 12 too, and I have them being a part of that bye week. It all depends on Cameron Rising. If Cameron Rising plays well, if the O-line's good, if the defense reloads and in fact gets better, because last year they were banged up, and if they can find some sneaky skill position players, they can be a wicked team, especially now that they're in a weaker conference. Thank you so much for watching this episode of College Football with Sam. I appreciate it. And I would appreciate it even more if you were to hit that like button, comment your thoughts on this video down below, hit that big red subscribe button, and also click that notification bell so that your phone, laptop, or whatever device you use can ding or buzz whenever I release new content and notify you about it so that you can watch more videos like this. College Football with Sam is the best Big Ten football channel on YouTube. We're going to be doing a giveaway when we hit 20,000 subscribers, and we're trying to become one of the best, if not the best, college football channels on YouTube. Your support means so much, and to those of you who are subscribed to my Patreon or purchase merchandise from my store, the links to those are down in the description and pinned comment. Thank you so much. I want to give a shout out to my Patreons. Thanks to Crash2488 for being a Heisman member. Thanks to Spencer Bringhurst, Chris Lane, and Connor Little OH for being All-American members. And thanks to Will Loftus, John Lynn, Roaming Gnome, Matthew Sale, Austin Christmas, and Janisha Cockrell for being All-Conference members. Have a great day, guys. And if you're listening on Spotify or any non-YouTube podcast platform, please check the link in the channel description to find my YouTube channel. And if you're listening on YouTube, feel free to check out my Spotify, if you so please. Have a great day, guys, and I will see you all soon. Bye-bye.